Okay, here we go. Hey everybody. I'm here tonight on Google, well, for now, to give you all the stream that nobody asked for. Scary Spaghetti. Now, in the chat of the stream, the account is actually that I'm going to use for the chat is an alternate account. So you'll see my hi message as the first message at 9:35 p.m., at least according to my tab on the phone that I'm using to manage chat. So if anybody pops in, say hello. But we'll get this started with, well, I didn't really decide on a story yet to leave requests open in case somebody showed up really fast. So, I do know that, well, there's someone watching, and I have a feeling I know who it is. Yeah, this person just happens to not have an account, so they cannot type in the chat, which is sad. But, we'll just go through with this. Alright, so story, what's a good story? Let's see. Let's try the Tails doll. Because why not? Oh, look, actual sort of information. That's not what we need. Alright, wait. We're gonna try this. Ah, there it is, the beautiful Troll Pasta wiki. It's beautiful. Oh, that background. Yay. Oh, I have gotten a request suddenly. Huzzah. From a person who cannot type in the chat. Cough. Super big girl chick. Jane the Killer. The real story. Oh, you know it's good when it's the real story. I'm already super psyched for this. Oh, okay. Lag, first of all. And also, we're on the fandom wiki again, so it's even better, and there's ads everywhere. Okay, can I scroll yet? No? Yes? Maybe? There it is. Okay. Now let's start this probably monstrosity, so yeah. Listen, the only reason I'm going out of my way to tell any of you this is because the story of Jane the Killer is starting to peeve me off. And yes, we're going to avoid the curse words / bad words, like this right here, because this channel's PG. You might be able to read it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to say it. And if the story's aggravating you, just, I don't know, try and report the story. Get it out of there, I guess. I don't know. My real name is Jane Arkansas. That's a really interesting last name. It's not like the state. Ugh. Already, we're off to an interesting start. AKA Jane the Killer. And this is how I met Jeff. The reason I look the way I do and why I want to kill him. Alright, let's see. When I heard that a new family had moved in across the street, I wasn't that surprised. It was a nice neighborhood, and the house was relatively cheap considering where it was. If it's a nice neighborhood, then well, It could be cheap, but it would probably be fairly run down, damaged, considering that nicer neighborhoods are usually way more expensive. Oh, and also, it's a nice neighborhood, yet you have the bullies who had guns and knives and lit someone on fire. I guess I was about 13 through 14 when everything went to heck. Wow, what a way to put it. I never really talked to Jeff when he moved in. To be frank, I never talked to him until that night. Oh, what's that night, you may be asking? Well, I've heard of this story, but I haven't read it. But I know what the story is, sort of. Yeah. So that night is going to be stupid. But it's too soon to talk about that now. No kidding, you're only at the beginning. Stop getting off track. My first impression of Jeff was that he was a good kid. Probably got nice grades. Rarely got into fights. Maybe even a cool guy if he opened up to someone. How do you know these things if you haven't talked to him? Are you just judging him by looking? That is the worst thing you could possibly do. You know the lesson, don't judge a book by its cover? This is where that rule applies 100%. His brother, Liu, still don't know how that works. Seemed like he put family first by the way he sat. By the way he sat with his brother on the sidewalk. Okay, then. He seemed like he put family first by the way he was sitting. That makes no sense. By the way I sit, you could probably tell that I'm lazy, but that's only because I slouch over. You could tell that I'm lazy, but that's it. You can't tell how I feel towards my family and or friends. That's not how that works. You could maybe tell what mood someone is in by them sitting in a certain position, but otherwise, you're not going to get that much. Of course, I was just guessing at the time and really didn't put much thought into my analysis because I was getting ready for school. Because, of course, you didn't. When I looked out the window and I was running late, which was unusual for me at that time in my life, because I was hardly ever late for anything, especially school. Yeah, sure. Typical teenager, never late for anything, no. Don't tell me you're a special snowflake. Also, I think there's a bug in here. Great. I wasn't surprised when I saw Randy and his stooges. Randy and it's the Three Stooges. Confirmed. Go up to Jeff and Lou on that stupid skateboard of his. Randy was nothing but a bully. He always picked on anyone who was smaller than him. Why only people who were smaller? I mean, yeah, someone who was bigger could obviously be intimidating, but really? Not the same size, not a little bit bigger, but not threatening looking. No, just anyone who's smaller. Just kick a chihuahua while you're at it. He was even the reason why my parents drove me to school instead of letting me take the bus like everyone else. Everyone had their lunch money or some kind of cash given to Randy and his goons because of some toll that he demanded for everyone. Here we go. It's getting good. And by good, I mean stupid. We all knew Randy's group had knives and threatened to use them on us whenever we told anyone about the money they took from other kids on the block. Everyone except the new kids they were trying to intimidate like the rest of us. Why didn't you tell anybody about this? Like, even someone as, like, you could tell your parents, the school counselor, the police, any adult that you can trust. Like, seriously, you have way too many options of somebody to tell, hey, these kids have knives on them. Also, how does the school not catch them with knives if everybody knows that they have knives? That's illegal, first of all. And second of all, just how does nobody notice these things? Teachers don't notice, staff don't notice. No student ever in this entire school, apparently, has ever said anything about the knives. No, because the plot needs it to be that way. When I saw Randy talking to them through the window, I just looked away. It was wussy thing to do, but period. Oh, jeez. First of all, you're missing an A, and you're also missing a comma. That should be a comma instead of a period. Ugh. I had better things to do than watch another kid hand over his money to Randy. But curiosity got the better of me, because of course it did. Don't they all get too curious? Curious? Curiosity killed the cat, you know. And I looked up a few seconds later. What I saw left me speechless. Jeff was standing now, and it looked like Randy already had what he wanted. Ugh. Just sit down, I thought. Don't be stupid. Yes, but don't do anything about it. Or tell anyone about it. Because that's the smart thing to do. Then I saw Jeff punch Randy in the face and break his wrist. How could you tell his wrist was broken unless it was literally snapped in half and or twisted all the way around? Oh my god, I whispered. Then I yelled, "You idiot!" My parents ran down the stairs and asked what happened. Then they looked outside and saw what was going on. Jeff had already cut the skinny guy. I think his name was Keith, and he went down screaming. Troy only went down with a single punch. That is a good typo. Proofread, please. Since my house was across the street from where Jeff and his brother were sitting, with the front of the house having big windows, we saw the whole thing, or at least I did. My parents came in after the part where Randy stole their wallet, so they didn't know the whole truth. And you apparently didn't tell them either. This is why, kids, you tell your parents and or anybody the entirety of the truth so that A, the innocent don't get blamed, and B, so that all of the facts are laid out. Especially considering you're an eyewitness to a crime. It was disturbing watching Jeff fight. He was enjoying himself too much. I felt a knot in my stomach like something was happening that shouldn't be. And from the look on Lou's face, Jeff didn't do this kind of thing often. Next thing I know, I hear... Okay, wait. Okay, there's a tent swap. I just found it. Took me a couple of seconds. But, like something was happening that shouldn't be. And he was enjoying himself. Next thing I know, I hear sirens. And the new kids bolted out of there. It's in the same sentence! You switched tenses in the same sentence! Ah! I hear sirens and bolted out of the... No! No! Stop! The cops came around with the bus driver to check on the victims. It seemed they were going to be alright. I'm not even halfway through this. I'm not even a quarter of the way through this, I think, and I'm already done. Hold on a second. In order to calm down a little bit so that I don't wake up everybody in my house, well, it's really not mine, and it's not a house either. I'm just gonna say it's a house. Because a shack, it just sounds terrible. But anyway, I'm going to check the amino I posted on to announce the stream. Oh, yay. Nothing yet. But hey, I shouldn't blame anybody or anything because, you know, not everybody's on all the time and there's just not a lot of members. The creepypasta amino with the double sunglass emojis at the side. You guys should check that out. It's really cool there. I posted Scary Spaghetti 1 over there, and it got featured, which, by the way, I was really ecstatic when that happened. I showed everybody, like, hey, we got featured. I think, oh yeah, it was, Slendy that showed me that it was featured. Wow. I'm second on the most recent post. Nice. Okay, anyway, I'm getting off track. Continuing on. Where was I? It seemed they were going to be alright. Considering the amount of crud kicked out of them. Since my parents' policy was no cops, oh my god. Ever since my dad got framed by a narc cop when he wanted to draw attention off of himself. What? When police were investigating the case of the missing coat. You need to establish these things a little bit sooner and make them make sense, because what? It ended with my dad quitting the force. So when we heard sirens, we went into the backyard and got into the car and left. Well then. Alright, at least you sort of have an ounce of a reason not to call the cops, because framing happened. But there's no evidence now that anything could have happened. Also, you're calling for a completely different crime, so it's not like they're going to search your property, especially considering it didn't happen on your property. At least, it doesn't seem like it did. Alright, hold on. I think I skipped it. There it is. Okay. When my parents drove me to school, they told me very clearly that they didn't want me talking to Jeff ever. I did not disagree with them. Fair enough. You don't want to get caught up in supposed crime issues. I had art first period, so I didn't see Jeff until close to the end of school. I can still see the colors in my artwork if I think hard enough. What? Why? How? How do you memorize that? I can't remember what I had for lunch today, and yet you can still remember colors in an artwork that you clearly didn't care about. Ugh. Anyway, but when I try to look at anything now, it all seems gray. I guess that's the price someone pays for losing their innocence. But I can't. Just this. No. Just, it's great. It's just lovely. I love it so much. Okay, anyway. Ugh. I didn't see Jeff until the final period of the day. When I did, he seemed off. No kidding. He just committed a crime not that long ago. At first I thought he was just faking the joy so people wouldn't suspect him for the crime that he did. But he really was enjoying himself. It wasn't because he was excited to be at school. I could tell that much from him. The smile he wore looked sadistic to me. It was the smile of a madman. The second that bell rang, I bolted out those doors as fast as I could. Nobody but me knew what Jeff really was. A freak. First of all, now you think he committed, well, I mean, technically he committed crime, sort of. Well, actually, no, because it's self-defense. So, he didn't commit a crime, and you think he did, even though you saw that the bullies were the actual crime committers in this. Ugh. Also, that is the sound of the printer someone's using, so don't mind that. The next day seemed to be passing without incident at first. Then I saw the police car in front of Jeff's house. Looks like they got you, I thought. For what? The self-defense? I mean, nobody else knows what I can't talk. I know that nobody else knows what actually happened except for you, but now is the chance to tell them while they are not on your property, and you could walk over and say, hey, this is what actually happened. I witnessed it the other day. Nobody could gotten away with something like that. Oh my gosh. You're missing a have there. The neighborhood watch and everything. With the neighborhood watch and everything. But I was wrong with who they arrested. Instead of coming out with Jeff like I expected they would, the police came out with Lou, his brother. I was barely forming the thought of Jeff framing his brother for the assault when he came out of the house yelling at Lou. Lou, tell them I did it. Yes, tell them I'm tell me, the second victim of the crime, that I did it. Even though, well, he did do it, but the point is that they're both victims, and he was defending himself and his brother. Just tell the truth that you were attacked. I was able to hear him this time because the front door was open to my house. Why was it open? I couldn't hear what Lou said in reply to Jeff's outburst, but it was definitely not what Jeff wanted to hear. A few seconds later, the police drove off with Lou, and Jeff was left outside with his mother. A few minutes later, she went inside the house and left Jeff outside. Although I couldn't hear him from across the street, I could tell that he was crying. But who wouldn't be in that situation? That is not a statement, that is a question. Also, I think I clicked something. Yes, I did. I don't want this. I don't care. Okay. Oh, this is very embarrassing. I don't want the camera on. Oh, okay. There we go. Ugh. This is what happens when you stream at almost 10 o'clock at night. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Also, nobody else is here yet, but one person is better than none, so. Okay. So why is this open? Okay, hold on. Where was it? That's too far down. How long is this? Oh god, it's long. Why is it so long? Alright. Okay. Alright. I'm going to set the screen share up again. Let me just fix things. Yay. Best part about streaming, the technical difficulties. Here. There we go. That should be working. Alright. The next day, rumors were spreading like wildfire about Lou. It took so long for the rumors to get started because everyone was afraid to talk about Randy getting his butt handed to him. When it was revealed that he wouldn't be coming back to school for a few days, everyone decided to take advantage of that fact and enjoy it as much as possible, and lots of random things started popping up. I heard Lou cut off Keith's arm. Oh yeah? Well, I heard that Lou hit Troy so hard in the stomach that he ralphed up blood. That's nothing. I heard that he punched Randy so hard in the nose that it came out the back of his head, and etc., etc., etc. Because that's the sort of thing that you make rumors about. I mean, yeah, you can have rumors about what happened exactly, but this is over the top, even for school. Like, rumors are usually, I heard that he's in the hospital because of what happened. Or, I heard that he's gone because Jeff punched him in the face. No, I heard that he broke his wrist. Like, that's not. Everybody knows that this is way too over the top, so why would you even bother? Personally, I didn't want anything to do with Jeff or his brother, but he just looked so alone and upset that I had to do something, because you're a special snowflake and you're gonna fix everything. So I wrote him a note telling him that he had a friend in this place and that I was going to testify at Lou's trial about what really happened. It's about time. I left the note at his desk, signed with the letter J before class started, then left the room. When I came back, Jeff was at his desk and the note was gone. Saturday rolled around and I was home alone while my parents were at work. The kid next door was having a birthday party. At the time, I left my window open because I wanted a nice breeze in my room while I did my homework. But the kids were getting so loud that I decided to close my window. I almost said wizzo or something of the sort. Ugh, that would have been weird. I was about to close it when I saw Jeff playing with the kids. He was running around wearing one of those fake cowboy hats and carrying a toy gun. He looked so ridiculous I had to laugh. Maybe he isn't the monster I think he is, I thought, ashamed of myself for suspecting he could have been one. Ugh. As I was closing the window, I saw Randy, Keith, and Troy jump over the fence on their skateboards to where Jeff was. Not again, I said to the open window. I saw Randy and Jeff exchange small talk, but I couldn't hear what they said over the sound of the kids yelling and screaming. Then Randy rushed at Jeff and tackled him. I was about to grab the phone and dial 911 when I heard Troy and Keith shout, "No one interrupts or guts will fly," because of course you heard that. And again with the whole, I don't know who was present during that one, never mind. I could totally just see Guts sprouting wings and flying away. I looked out the window again and saw that they both had matching guns in their hands. I couldn't have called for help then without endangering the lives of others. Yes, you could, because they aren't aware that you're aware of the situation. I couldn't have called 911 anyway. The batteries in my phone was dead. It should be were dead. They're dead right now. Jeff was on his side, getting kicked by Randy in the face when he grabbed his foot and twisted. Oh my gosh. I've read the original story and it still sounds like Jeff is grabbing his own foot and twisting it. Because it doesn't make it clear. When he grabbed his foot. Or it sounds like Randy's grabbing his own foot. Either way, it sounds like somebody is grabbing their own foot and twisting it. Yeah. Fun times. Randy fell over, and Jeff tried to walk back to the house when Troy grabbed him by the collar and threw him towards the house. I heard glass breaking, and I knew that they were going to kill him. Not gonna read that, I screamed at him. But he couldn't hear me over the sound of the kids screaming. I couldn't wait anymore, so I ran to my parents' bedroom and searched for my dad's cell phone. You don't have a house phone? I feel like everybody has a house phone. How do you not have a house phone? Hoping that he forgot it at home. My heart was pounding in my chest, knowing that the longer it took for me to get help, the higher the chance of someone getting killed was. I finally found the phone underneath the bed. I wasted no time punching in the numbers. 911, hello. I need help. There's an emergency going on next door. Some guys jumped the fence and are beating up someone. They've got guns. You need to hurry, please. Okay, miss, I need you to tell me the address and I'll send help right away. I quickly told her my address and the address of the house next door. Please hurry, I said. It's okay, just stay on the line. That's your sound effect with those bangs. Just pounding a table. Oh, and that made the printer go off. I heard loud gunshots come from next door. I yelped and dropped the phone. It landed on the ground and broke, because of course it did. Then I ran to my bedroom window and tried and figure out what was going on. But no sooner had I poked my head out the window, I heard the whoosh of a fire and the screaming. The screaming. Not just screaming. The screaming. I'm going to make Jeff scream like that again when I find him. Ugh. No, you're not. The only thing I can compare it to is the death cry of an animal. It was at the time for me horrifying, but now it sounds like music to me, and there's nothing I want to hear more in the world than him screaming. Ugh. Just. Ugh. Ugh. This is. Hold on, I'm going to get a drink. I'll be right back. Okay, now that I have some soda to help my throat not die while reading this, let's continue. I saw fire spew out of the house like an angry dragon. I ran downstairs immediately and got the portable fire extinguisher from the kitchen and ran outside. As I was running, I popped the pin for the extinguisher for immediate use. Luckily, the door was unlocked as I barged in, but when I saw Jeff, I completely froze. These characters and them freezing up. This is like Bob and Andrew. Ugh. Yes, I am aware of the first episode of Scared Spaghetti. Unlock it. Froze. Let it go. Let it go. 2014. Ugh. He's lying at the bottom of the stairs, almost completely on fire, with adults trying to put it out. I saw bits of it skim through all the commercial. Some parts pink, some parts charred, but it was all covered in red. At the sight of all this, I screamed and then I passed out. Last thing I remember is some of the adults running towards me. Whether it was to help me or get the fire extinguisher, I don't know. When I came to, I was in a hospital bed wearing one of those gowns that a patient wears, because every patient wears one of those. It's kind of obvious. You didn't need to mention that either. A nurse came in a few moments later. She had long brown hair in a bun hidden under her hat. She looked like she didn't want to be there. I asked her what happened. All I know is that you were brought in with a few other kids because you fell and hit your head on a fire extinguisher, she said, annoyed. Like me, I'm very annoyed right now with this story, but I need to read it, and this person needs to be in a hospital. I can relate. I really can. A fire extinguisher? I reached up my hand and touched my head. I felt bandages and a large bump the size of an orange. Then I remembered Jeff, one of the guys that came in here with me, with the one with the burns. Is he going to be all right? How do you know you're in the same hospital? I mean, it's likely, but how are you sure? She sighed. Listen, there was 2 boys that were brought in with you that had burns, and no, I'm not letting you see him just because he's your boyfriend. I felt the heat rise in my face. He isn't my boyfriend. I'm just worried about him. Wouldn't you be worried about someone you just saw burning alive in front of you? I tried to keep my voice steady, but my voice quivered enough to make it sound like I was lying. Reading this now, it all makes sense. Jane, I think you realized that you and Jeff were meant to be since the beginning. And by meant to be, I mean meant to be rivals, not lovers. Rivals. Whatever. Your parents are here, by the way. Want to see them? She asked. Yes, of course. Anything to get me away from that nurse. My parents came in and the nurse finally left. They asked what happened. I told them everything. The fight, the note, all of it. I knew that Randy was no good, my mom said. So have you heard anything about Jeff's condition? I asked. No, not a thing, said my dad. We just got here as soon as we heard about what happened to you. Because you. I mean, yeah, parents should be concerned about their children, but there were a lot of other children there, and uh, also, how do you know? But who told you? Ah, good point. You'd be good at this, Jane. But who told you? Exactly. I asked. I didn't think I saw anyone at the party that my family knew. The hospital called us, Mom said. Oh, 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 that actually makes sense. Well, I guess that makes sense. well, well then. Jane, stop reading my mind. It made absolutely no sense to me, of course. How would someone be able to identify me without me having any form of identification? Because medical records are a thing, and I'm pretty sure they contain, well, actually, I don't know if they contain photos or not, but somebody else there could have known your name, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense either. Excuse me, but is this Jane Arkansas's room? The woman asked. Yes, my mother answered. Who are you? I'm Margaret, and this is Peter, my husband. She gestured to the man beside her. We're Jeff's parents. I sat up in my bed. Whoa, slow it down there, Jane. You shouldn't be that excited. You barely know Jeff. I mean, yeah, I could see the concern, but yeah. It just say something already. I'm Isabel. This is my husband, Greg, and our daughter, Jane. Mom gestured to me. So, you're the girl who ran in with the fire extinguisher, Margaret said. Yes, I replied quietly, embarrassed. Is your son all right? He just came out of surgery a few hours ago. The doctor said he will be fine. I relaxed at that thought. That's good, I said. Listen, I know what happened to Jeff and Lou on their first day of school. I told Jeff's parents what really happened to Randy and his crew. We had no idea that Jeff was capable of something like this, Peter said. He didn't do anything. He just show some concern. I have many issues with this. One of which being Jeff's parents, because I've read his story, being completely inconsiderate of him. In fact, his dad is the only one who seemed to care the most. And I guess technically Lou, but if Lou really cared that much, he would have just flat out said, hey, we got attacked first. And don't even get me started on the mother. Just no. I'm willing to testify that Lou didn't beat up anyone and that Jeff only beat up Randy in this gang in self-defense. About time. No need, said Margaret. Lou was being released from jail after what happened to those boys. That's good, I said. We just came to say thank you for trying to help our son, Jane. It warms my heart to see selfless people in your generation. I blushed. All this blushing. I did anything anyone. Oh, never mind. That makes sense. I did anything anyone would have done in my situation. I looked down. I'm not a hero. Yes, you are. You pretty much saved someone's life. Nonsense, Margaret said. The least we can do is invite you over to our place for dinner when Jeff gets out of the hospital. I looked at Mom and Dad. It would be an honor, my mom said. It's settled then. We'll call you as soon as Jeff gets out of the hospital. Yes, because planning things as soon as your child gets out of the hospital with major injuries is the best thing you could do. Not, allow time for recovery, allow a while for things to go back to semi-normalness. No, just immediately plan something that your child doesn't know about. But someone your child also doesn't know. Because that makes sense. At least give it a little while. About 2 days passed and I was allowed to be released from the hospital. During that time, I had no contact with Jeff or his family, but I heard that Lou was released from jail and Jeff's wounds were healing. When I got back to school, I became the center of attention, more or less because I was the only one who saw what happened at the party. The only people I told about what happened were my friends, Danny, Marcy, and Erica. They're gonna last super long in the story, I can tell. I didn't know what to tell them, so I told them what I saw. I didn't know what to tell them, so I told them what I saw. Then you knew what to tell them. You told them what you saw. Sounds like Jeff got his butt handed to him, said Danny. She had raven black hair with sapphire blue eyes. She was usually the most level-headed of us. I'm pretty sure these characters will not matter for more than a few paragraphs. Well, at least he went down fighting. I heard he took those idiots to the hospital with him. Actually, he killed them. But we'll come back to that later. Erica snickered. She always dressed like she was from the 80s or something. Long, thigh-high rainbow-colored socks with hair to match and always wearing some kind of backpack with her. Excuse me. The soda's taking effect. Ugh. He also took Jane to the hospital. Maybe she was trying to beat him up too, Marcy laughed. She seemed to be the girly girl of our little group. She was blonde with brown eyes, and nearly every time we saw her, she had some sort of pink on her. Whether it was the color of her shirt or the jewelry around her neck, she was one of the biggest drama queens I knew, always stretching out the truth or blowing something out of proportion. I told you, I went over there to try and help Jess because something was wrong, I muttered. I was the plain Jane. Ha! Ha! Get it? Cause her name is Jane? Yeah. Brown hair, green eyes, completely unremarkable looks-wise. Or maybe you wanted to see your loved one last time before he left to go get help for himself, Marcy said in her dramatic voice. Ugh. Like I said, these two are destined to be something. Whether it be lovers or rivals, it doesn't matter. Just something. My throat is dying. I might need Jeff to take over for this, which is kind of hilarious. I just looked at her with my eyes the size of dinner plates. Well, what? You can't deny it, Jane Arkansas. You have a crush on Jeff. Every blood cell in my body decided to migrate to my face at once when she said that. What? No. I just wanted to help him, that's all. And this is why Jane and Jeff are shipped. Because the maker of the real Jane the Killer story, quote unquote, pretty much made it halfway canon. Liar, I saw you leave that note you left on its desk. What was it? A confession of your love for him? No, it was nothing like that at all. I was just, so you admit you left him a note then? What do you mean? I was guessing. She gave me a cynical little smile and then just waited for my response. The other girls started laughing at me. Jane, it's only a joke. I was just kidding. Marcy smiled. Your face is redder than a tomato, Erica cackled. I hate all of you. Well, I hate all of you too, so it's good. Ugh. Oh, stop being so serious. Danny put a hand on my shoulder. Come on, let's get to class. The weeks went by. Oh, just gonna crack my neck a little bit there. And also lean a little bit back because I think this is hurting my throat more than anything. Looking down. Ugh. Blech. I'm gonna take a break for a couple of seconds to rest my throat and check the chat. Okay, so now that that's done and my throat still hurts, I'm going to regret this in the morning when my throat really doesn't feel good. But we're going to continue anyway. Oh, stop being so serious. Daddy put a hand on my shoulder. Come on, let's go. Let's get to class. The weeks went by. Everything seemed to be normal. I think Lou even made a few friends. Everything was normal and nothing happened. Then Lou came up to me one day and told me about Jeff. Excuse me, your name is Jane, right? I turned around and looked. It was Lou. Yes, you're Lou, right? Jeff's brother? Yeah, he looks a little uncomfortable. Then again, so was I. Look, my parents wanted me to tell you that Jeff is getting his bandages removed in a few days, so expect a phone call inviting you to dinner soon. Okay, well, thank you, I said. I was about to turn away when I said, hey, listen, what you did for Jeff, that was really respectable. Thanks. I heard you tried to help my brother with a fire extinguisher. That was cool. Yeah, well, thanks. See you around, I guess. Yeah, see ya. At least this spaces out uh, dialogue correctly. I was watching him walk away when I heard a little voice beside me say, cheating on your boyfriend, are you? Frick, I turned around, surprised. It was Marcy. Your friends are really just annoying. I mean, you need better friends. Like, I get that jokes can be made about that sort of thing, but, you know, there are lines that should not be crossed. This, I'm losing brain cells. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm losing throat cells as well, but, that's good. Well, that's a good thing. I'm gonna take another drink. I'm probably gonna finish this can of soda by the time we're halfway through. Oh, actually, we're halfway through now, so this might be gone by the time we're done. Ugh. And with his own brother, nonetheless, she faked a gasp. Shut up, I yelled. Then I turned my head to make sure Lou didn't hear me. He didn't. Let's just get to class, I grumbled. 2 days passed until the phone rang. My mom answered it. A few minutes later, she got off and told me this. Jeff is getting out of the hospital today, Jane. I looked up at her and said, that's great. It looks like we'll be having that free dinner in a few days, she chuckled. That's actually pretty good. Credit, well, that's such a mom thing, actually. Like, seriously. That is that is amazing. That is an amazing mom joke. Just yes. A few hours passed and I heard a call what I heard a car pull into a driveway across the street. I looked out the window and saw Jeff's car in front of his house in front of its house. Its house. Oh. Oh, this is good. Jeff's home, I thought. I decided to watch out of curiosity to see what he would look like. Dear God, how wrong I was. What? You didn't say any sort of what you would think. You didn't describe what you would think he looked like, so you can't use that. You can't put that there. Also, God isn't capitalized, even though it technically should be. His dad got out, then his mom, then Lou. But what I expected Jeff to look like couldn't be farther from what I saw. He had long black hair down to his shoulders, white leathery skin, and that smile. That smile was the same smile I saw when he was in class after he beat up Randy, Keith, and Troy. But Jeff looked right at me, into my eyes. I could feel those soulless, sadistic eyes burn right into my soul. Yes, your soul's on fire now. I still shake from the memory, even now as I type this. No, you don't. Just, no, you don't. He seemed to be looking at me for hours with that smile until he looked away. I saw him walk into the house with his parents. I didn't even breathe until that door finally closed behind them. So apparently you suffocated. My parents came into the living room and asked me what was wrong. My only reply was a long, loud scream. Then I fainted. You faint a lot, don't you? I mean, I can understand fainting at fire, but fainting at that when it was already over, just wow. Your faith game is way, way up there. When I finally woke up, it was dark outside. My parents weren't in their bedroom. The house was deathly quiet. I got up and went downstairs. I was wearing a long nightgown that I wasn't wearing before I fainted. I went downstairs to the kitchen. The lights were on, which was unusual. My parents always turned me to what? My parents always bleh. My parents always told me to turn off the lights in a room when I left it. There was a note on the table. I picked it up. Scrawled on the paper was this: Aren't you coming to dinner? Your friends are here too. I began to shake violently. I'm just picturing a picture of Jane shaking like the Temmies from Undertale. Just vibrating uncontrollably. Not out of fear too, it's just random shaking. I dropped the paper. I went to the living room window and looked out. The lights were on in Jeff's house. I knew that I had to go out there, but I was terrified out of my mind. I shook my head and looked back again. I saw Jeff leaning on the window in his house, staring at me with a knife in his hand and tapping it against the window. Just gonna... He was still smiling. Lots of tapping. I started stepping back from the window, never taking my eyes off of him. Then I turned and ran away from the window into the kitchen. Microsoft, get out of here, nobody cares. When I peeked out of... That's the wrong peak. When I peeked the mountain, no. When I peeked out of the kitchen to look out the window, all I saw was a smear of red on the window. Smear of hyper-realistic blood, no. I turned around and looked at the kitchen. Everything seemed to be in its place, even the knives. I grabbed one of them and held on tight. Then I found the phone and tried to dial 911, but the phone line was disconnected. Wait, don't you all have cell phones? So if you had a house phone before, why didn't you use that earlier? And if you didn't, how is the phone line disconnected if you have a cell phone? That doesn't make any sense. I had no idea where Dad's cell phone was, or if it was even fixed. I didn't want to go upstairs to find it. I didn't want to get stabbed in the back while I was looking for it. And if I went to ask one of the neighbors for help, Jeff could kill or hurt whoever he have kept him. So there was only one choice: to fight Jeff alone. Don't you have your own cell phone? Unless it still isn't charged because laziness. Although, I charge my cell phone all the time. It's like an obsession. I make sure it's charged and plug it in before it dies, most of the time. This story is just... it's gone from semi-funny and also semi-rage-inducing to just boring. I clutched the knife tighter and went to the front door, put on my shoes, and went outside. My hand lingered on the doorknob as I stepped outside, but I knew what I had to do. I let go of the doorknob and marched across the street to Jeff's house. You really don't have to do this. You could go to a neighbor that's not directly next door because that wouldn't be as obvious, but no. As I got closer to front door of his house, beautiful, I began to slow down. My knees began to shake, my palms began to sweat, and I started to breathe faster and shallower. Before I knew it, I was standing completely still on the front doorstep, panting like a dog. I manned up, there should be a comma, grabbed the doorknob, comma, that is not there, squeezed my eyes shut, and jerked it open. There should also be a comma after shut. I stood there in the doorway with a knife in my hand, with a knife in my right hand and the doorknob in my left, too terrified to open my eyes until I heard a voice say, "It looks like you made it. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, friend." I opened my eyes, then screamed. His eyes were large and unblinking, and his smile was red. He carved a smile into his face. His clothes were covered in blood, and then I passed out. I'm going to get through this without making any jokes because I want this to be over. When I woke up, I was dead. At a dining room table, my knife was gone, and when I looked up, I saw people sitting at the table. It was my parents, Jeff's parents, his brother Lou, and my friends. They were all dead, with smiles carved into their faces and huge red cavities in their chests. The smell was unbearable. It's indescribable, unlike anything I had ever smelled before. It was the smell of death. Yay, everybody's dead. I tried to scream, but I had a gag in my mouth and I was tied to a chair. I looked around at the room in disbelief. Tears were welling up in my eyes from the sight and smell of the bodies. Luke, who's finally awake. I turned and looked beside me. Jeff was there. What? Jeff was there. Can't talk. I tried screaming, but the gag was in the way. Stop trying to scream when you know the gag is in the way. Suddenly he was beside with the knife against my throat. Shush, shush, shush. It's not polite to scream at friends. He began sliding the blade across my face. You barely know Jane. I don't even think you do know her. I mean, sure, you could have found out that she was in the hospital with you, but otherwise you know nothing. You don't even know that she's the one who gave you the note, unless you somehow eavesdropped. Ugh. Constantly tracing invisible lines from the corners of my mouth up my cheeks in a large grinning smile. I shivered as he did this. When I turned away from him, he grabbed the back of my head and forced me to look at the scene at the table. Now, don't be rude. You're insulting everyone by not looking at their pretty faces. I looked back at the table, looking at everyone with their faces carved into smiles, and some with their chests still bleeding fresh blood. Hot tears began running down my face, and I began to sob. What's wrong, Jeff purred? Are you upset that you don't look beautiful like them? Here we go. It's beautiful. This girl is the only one Jeff's keeping alive for this amount of time because friendship that he doesn't know about. And also possible infatuation at first sight. I looked at him, trying to understand what he said, but I looked away when I saw his face again and looked back to the table. Don't worry, I'll make you look beautiful too. What do you say? He then slid the knife under the gag and cut it off. I spat out the gag and looked at him straight in the eyes, trying to hold his gaze. He tilted his head to the side as he looked back at me. Then I shut my eyes and looked away from him. Then I muttered darkly, "Nope." Then I turned to look at him again. You Joker reject. Oh my gosh. Sick burn. Sick burn. Yes. Good job. Please burn this story. I should really light it on fire when I'm done with this. Actually, no. I don't want to ruin my precious laptop. Maybe I'll make a physical copy just to burn it in the driveway or something. He just laughed in my face. I preferred it when he just smiled. You're even funnier than I thought. Well, I mean, that is kind of funny, so... yeah. Yeah, I can agree with Jeff on this, in this story. He came closer to me. I looked away again, feeling his breath against my skin. Who's invading me while I stream? Bad news, everybody. I need to go. So yeah, it's actually semi-late, and I do need to go. But I will continue this tomorrow if I get the chance. Maybe. So look out for that. I'm gonna go drink a lot more soda and then probably go to bed. Anyway, this has been Scary Spaghetti Alive. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my throat hurting. And yeah. See ya, I guess. Bye.